0 plus 0 equals 0. I heard nothing, he said. He heard nothing I said. I responded to him and my response had nothing to do with what he said. He responded to me. His response had nothing to do with what I said. Conversation is over now. We both go our separate ways. What is the point of having a conversation with somebody when both of you leave unchanged? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? If you are watching, it is your girl Lydia Caesar, aka the Sassy Wife. I decided to make this video about 10 ways to improve communication in your relationship. When I first got married, I would meet people who've been married for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, even up to 50 years they've been married. And I would ask them, what is the secret? If you had to give me one tip, what would it be? And almost everybody, this is the answer I got the most: communication. Communication. So I'm like, okay, that's just such a blanket statement. What is good communication? Because my husband and I communicate, and sometimes we do great, and sometimes we're frightened, we screaming, we hollering at each other. That's communication too. That doesn't mean it's a good thing, right? So I wanted to know what good communication looks like. Over time, being with my husband, we've been together 5 years now. Some people may say, okay, that's not a lot of time. Then some may say, well, I would love to be married 5 years, or I've only been married 2, or I've been married 1, and I would love to get to 5. So I feel like at any stage you are in your relationship, you may have some tools to share that have helped you. You could be in a marriage for 20 years. If it's 20 miserable years, I don't want to hear your advice. Well, maybe I do want to hear your advice so I know what not to do. I want to hear what people have to say at any stage of their relationship, if they're happy and if what they've experienced is something that I can benefit from. So I'm going to share what I find to be really great tips to help you better communicate with the person that you love. And you can also apply these tips to any relationship with your parents, with your best friend, with your boss, anybody. Good communication is always a way to strengthen any relationship that you're in. So let's get right into it. Advice tip number 1, think about how you want to be heard and do your best to hear your partner that same way. Ladies and gentlemen, the golden rule is something that if you apply to every layer of your relationship, you will start to see so many changes. And listen, don't think that it's just like common knowledge. Treat others how you want to be treated. Yes, golden rule, everybody knows this, everybody knows this. Yeah, we all know it. But do we actually apply this on a daily basis, okay? I'm gonna give you an example. I'm a musician, I'm a recording artist. When I send my song to somebody, I want them to really listen. I don't want them to just play it on their phone, hit play on the email, while they're watching TV, while they're talking to their friends, not really paying attention, it's kind of just going in the background. That's not how I want anybody to listen to my song and then try and come and give me feedback. Oh, it was cool, it was this, it was that. But did you really listen? And since that's what I want, when I get music sent to me, I do my absolute best to listen to it, put my headphones on, sit in the car, blast it loud. If I play it, through a speaker in the house, turn the volume up. I want to hear all the nuances because I know that's what I want. If you really want to be heard, you want your partner to hear what you have to say, not just act like they're listening, not just folding their arms like, okay, when is she going to be done? Oh, she crying again? Okay, great. How would you feel? Anytime you're receiving something from your partner and you have a shady attitude about it, or you ain't trying to hear it, just imagine that you had something weighing on your heart, your spirit, your soul, and you wanted your soulmate, your partner, to be all ears and listening and focused. Do the same. Number 2, you have heard this many times. Listen to comprehend. Do not listen to respond. You guys, I know it's hard. I know it's hard when you have a point. You have a point that you want to make so bad. When the other person is speaking, you can't even really hear them because you're just playing over in your mind what you're going to say. We've all been there. We have all been there. Don't act like you haven't done it. If you've done this before, leave a comment about how you did it and how it blew up in your face, okay? Because it always comes back to haunt us. Do not do this. When someone is speaking, give them the floor and really listen. Whatever you were going to say could quite possibly change if you really take in what your spouse or partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it is in your life is saying to you. They may say something to you that really makes sense. You may learn something. You may become better because of what the person is saying. So Listen to comprehend. 0 plus 0 equals 0. I heard nothing, he said. He heard nothing I said. I responded to him and my response had nothing to do with what he said. He responded to me. His response had nothing to do with what I said. Conversation is over now. We both go our separate ways. Guess what's going to happen? You're gonna have the same issue again because it was never resolved. You didn't listen. He didn't listen. All you did was talk to each other. And both of you is like this. What is the point of having a conversation with somebody when both of you leave unchanged? Because neither of you were listening to comprehend. You were listening just to respond. That comes with maturity and then like leveling up in your relationship. When you can get to a place where you really can listen, it's not about who's gonna win the fight. It's not about a battle of wit. Because I mean, look, we all got wit, you know, a lot of us, especially ladies, we got sass and attitude. And if you say something that makes us upset, we can't wait to lash back. Calm down. Growth, maturity. With growth and maturity comes listening to comprehend, not listening to respond. Number 3, share how you feel. Do not wait and hold things inside. Listen, tiny problems turn into huge problems when you do not address them. Things keep coming up when they're not properly addressed. The same exact situation will keep playing itself out. They say that if you do the same exact thing and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. Well, how do you expect things to change if you do the same thing every time something bad happens? You pissed and annoyed, your husband pissed you off, your wife pissed you off, they annoyed you. They don't even know. They don't even know how annoyed you are because you don't want to say anything because you're afraid it's going to make an argument, it's going to make a fight. Okay, keep on holding on, keep on. One day, that thing that you've been holding back is going to, you are going to have you're going to reach that last nerve. These are all your nerves, right? Right here, right here, right here, right here. This nerve is going to get touched and explosion. Another head going to go out. Another head going to go out. You're going to lash out on your partner because you've been done let this thing build up so bad and not said anything. If your husband doesn't respect you in a certain way, you know, something simple, you know, you clean up the house and then he comes home and just throws the stuff around and doesn't even acknowledge that you cleaned anything or even, you know, keep the space that you cleaned tidy. That's small. That's something small. But if you don't say anything, let's say this happens for like a year, he's just a messy person. By the time the end of the year comes, you're gonna be so frustrated that what was a small problem is now a big issue. It's something that you've been harboring. It's grown. You have a level of disgust for him. When you see his shoes on the floor, you're disgusted. You can't stand him. Like, you're talking about him in your head. You're fighting with him in your head. You're calling him a slob and nasty in your head. And you could have said this 6 months ago, sis. You could have told him, look, this is something that I really don't like. And I would love for you to be more considerate of the time and energy that I put into cleaning up. Problem solved. Problem solved. And a lot of times our relationships are a series of our problems. Like when we really stop and look back at all of the issues that we have, it's a series of built up issues that accumulated over time because you refuse to address them. Number 4, do not try and have discussions when you're angry. Let me tell you something about anger. Anger is the loudest person in the room. It's too loud. Wait, take a pause, take a moment, let the anger subside, and then come back to the conversation when you have a level head, because the anger is gonna win every single time. Sometimes it may just be like literally not saying what you're about to say out of anger. Babe, you know what? I need 60 seconds. Let's talk about this in a minute, please. Stop, gather your thoughts. And maybe, babe, we can't talk about this right now. Let's talk about it later when we get home. You have the day now to really think about what it is that hurts you and how you can solve this problem. You know, it may be late at night. You know, they say don't go to bed angry, but sometimes you may really need to sleep that anger off. Do not force yourself to solve an issue that can't be solved at the time because of the way your emotions are. And we all get angry. Yes, women are more emotional than men, but Anger is something that no matter what happens, we all experience it. And it's important for you to take that pause because it doesn't last. Nothing lasts forever. Not even the way you're feeling. And that rage, that feeling of anger that happens is such a spontaneous feeling. I mean, you can punch the wall and break the wall and in 20 minutes be like, good job. Good job. I let the anger get the best of me. So if anger can show itself in that way, imagine how our words are cutting and piercing and ineffective when we're pissed and when we're angry with our spouse. So take a minute, breathe, think about it, what it is. Think about why you're angry. Think about a solution to the problem. How can we fix it? How can we do better next time? How can we guarantee that we don't come back to the same place, okay? And this is the kind of thinking that takes place when you're cool, calm, and collected, not when you're in the height of your anger. Tip number 5, your tone is everything, okay? The way you say something can drastically change the way that it is received. Think about it. You ain't shh. Your mom ain't shh. Your family ain't shh. You know what? That might all be true. You know, he might have a lot of self-work to do. It might be because his mama raised him totally wrong. It might be because his whole family is really awful. But if you come to him with a sweet and loving tone, baby, you have so much potential. I see so much in your future, and I want to help untap that potential. I want to help love you in a way that you've never experienced before. I know you may have not always had the support of your family around you, but I want to be here to be that family, to lift you, to help guide you. You're saying the same thing. Which one do you think your man is going to receive better? When you say things to people in sarcasm or in a degrading way without respect, it doesn't matter. You could be saying something that's so meaningful and that would actually help your partner become a better person, but they don't even want to hear it. It's not going to be received. It's falling on deaf ears because your tone was nasty. Your tone was negative. You weren't saying it in love. We have to learn how to communicate in love. Speak to our partner in love. Say things goes back to tip number 1. Speak the way you would want to be spoken to, okay? Number 6. All disagreements do not have to turn into arguments. As you begin to implement steps 1 through 4, you will realize that you can learn how to disagree with a smile. You guys can disagree and go back and forth and still have respect for each other because you have mastered appropriate tone. You've mastered not just blurting out things when you're angry. You've mastered speaking to your spouse the way you want to be spoken to. And so now you guys can disagree and talk about this too. And you may even be able to help your partner to see another side of something. And he may be able to help you see another side of something. And even though you don't necessarily agree at the end of it, you didn't fight, you didn't argue, you weren't combative, you weren't yelling, you weren't screaming, you weren't cursing, you weren't saying things that you're gonna regret later. Your tone was positive, your energy was beautiful, your spirit was in the right place. So, yes, we disagree, but we can agree that this is okay. You do not always have to agree with your partner. Believe that. You don't always have to agree. There's some things that y'all just will not see eye to eye on, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that y'all have to be at odds. It doesn't mean that you have to be at war with each other. When you learn to master these tools of watching your mouth and having respect and remembering the way you want to be handled, the way you want to be spoken to, you will learn that it's okay. You guys may not agree, you may not see eye to eye, but I still love you. Right, number 7. Understand that men and women are different and we communicate differently. We're naturally more emotional than men. So there may be times when we're crying through our communication, you know? And it's not something that we can necessarily just turn off or be strong enough to just stop the tears from coming. And as a man, it may be really hard to receive your wife while she's crying. This is something personal for me in my relationship that has been a challenge that I've been starting to see my husband changing in, because I'm very emotional and I cry really fast when I'm upset. It doesn't even necessarily have to be that I'm like super sad. I can just be like really pissed, and instead of being like this raging mad lunatic, I'll just be crying. And in the beginning of my relationship with my husband, I couldn't cry and communicate to him. He was shut down. He would straight leave the room. If I'm crying and talking at the same time, he is out. Deuces, he out. How selfish is that? How unfair is that for me, for somebody who it's not something that I can necessarily just turn on and off. I can't just turn the tears off. Sometimes the tears just come because of my general frustration. I may not even be like yelling and crying. I may be just like, it may just be like the actual tears, and like he can't stand that. And over time, he's had to learn how to listen to me, even through the tears. I want to say like we got one of our breakthroughs in this area just this past vacation. We went away a couple weeks ago to Mexico, and while on the trip, we had an argument. Drop in the comments if you've been away on a vacation and you've had an argument on vacation. We only had one this vacation, but we still had one. And the subject made me cry. And it wasn't anything internal or like anything that he did to me, but it was something outside that affected the way my attitude was. And he snapped at me and we're going back and forth, and he was really more annoyed than anything. He's like, you gotta be able to control yourself, and telling me that I need to be able to control myself. And I finally really got to him where I got him to understand, like, we're different. We're different. You may be able to, if something happens to you or whatever it is, control the way you outwardly appear. Even though you may be crying on the inside, you may be able to just have a nice, clean smile on your face. But I can't do that. And you still need to be able to listen to me. And that got through to him. It made sense to him, to the point where he hugged me and apologized to me and told me, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry. I need to do better. I need to understand that you're different from me and that we communicate differently. Biologically, we're different. Our makeup is different. The communication is not always going to be the same, Sometimes your husband may not sugarcoat things. Like I said, back to tone. Sometimes you may not like his tone. He may not always cradle you and tell you the negative things sweetly. Sometimes he may have a little attitude. And you can tell him, baby, I really wish you could bring this to me in a kinder, softer way. But it may not change right away. Sometimes these type of changes really do take time. And you have to be willing to understand, okay, this is who he is. This is how he is as a man. What can I do to make sure I'm good? Sometimes you need to really worry about yourself, in the sense of like something that he's doing doesn't sit right or sit well with you, and he hasn't gotten to the place where he's able to change that yet. Changes will come, trust me, because like I said to you, I've been married to my husband for 5 years, and just this vacation that we just took, I feel like we had a major breakthrough on one of the levels of the way we've disagreed in the past. Everything's not going to always happen overnight. And when you understand, okay, you know what, you say to yourself, he's a man, and this is the way he is because of that. And I'm a woman. This is the way I am because of it. How can we make these puzzle pieces fit together? And even if they're not perfectly fit, how can we live happily and harmoniously while we're getting them to fit? Because listen, y'all, relationships take work. People say that for a reason. It's not just gonna snap. You're not just gonna say, baby, I need you to do this, and then every time y'all fight, boom, hello, I'm the man you've always wanted. No, that is not the way it works. We are all works in progress. When you learn that, you are nothing but a big old whip. He ain't nothing but a big old whip. Works in progress. Take your time. Have respect for each other, and you will eventually get to that place where you really both want to be and understand each other as a man and as a woman. Number 8, now we're getting to the fun stuff. Number 8, make up. After you have a bad argument, a big disagreement, the communication was tough, but you made it through, go in the bedroom, go in the kitchen, drop on the floor right there in the living room and get it poppin', have some wild, crazy sex. Go out to eat. Go somewhere and love on each other. I mean, really take the time to bond after you've had a rough time, after you've just made it over something. You've made it over a hurdle. You reached a new level of understanding, but it took some tears. It took some anger. It took some frustration, but you made it over the other side. And now you're both better because of it. Seal the deal by getting it popping. I'm trying to tell you, it's so important. That is like a great way to bond and just help elevate, help polish everything over, smooth everything over that just happened. Your man just hurt your feelings. You just probably hurt his feelings. Now, love on each other. Go out to your favorite restaurant, get real sexy, go out and eat and talk about the progress that y'all making. Celebrate the good time that y'all are having. Celebrate what's to come next and come home and get it popping. Makeup sex is the bomb. Makeup sex might be worth arguing just to have the sex. Number 9, I think this is really effective and something that I've often done. And, not everybody does this, but I think it's something that I can throw in here that may help you. And that's to write things down. Sometimes you may need to write a letter to your husband or to your wife or to your friend. Maybe you need to write it in an email. Maybe, it's hard to say this face to face. Now, understand that the letter is not the only form of communication. The letter is going to prompt a conversation. You always want to back up a letter or a text or an email with a face-to-face or voice-to-voice conversation with this person as well. If you're far away and if it's like a friendship, that's what I'm saying, like voice-to-voice if you have to be on the phone. Of course, if it's your husband or your girlfriend or whatever, you guys need to talk it out face-to-face. But you always want to back up whatever you wrote and finalize it with a conversation. But sometimes it's easier to get your ideas out there, your thoughts, to get them in line. A lot of times you may sit down with your partner and you may forget some of the things that you really, really wanted to say, or some of the things that really, really hurt you. And look, it's not always about fighting or arguing and who's arguing or winning. If one person in the relationship won and the other person lost, you both lost. I'm just going to keep it real. You both lost. If there was one loss in the argument, you both lost the fight. At the end of an argument or a disagreement or whatever, you want to both feel vindicated. You want to feel like your spouse heard you. He wants to feel like you heard him. That's a win. That's a win. When you both feel like you have been heard and healed, that's a winning argument. And sometimes we may forget things in the moment because emotions and passions can be running high, and you may even be able to have a calm and a mature conversation, and you still may forget something that bothered you, or something that came up in the past, or something that you just been meaning to say but you didn't say it. So I think it's always great to write things down. You may be able to even go into the conversation with notes. Some of you may think this is extra, but look, it is what it is. If it's a part of you that needs healing and that needs correcting, and you need to find a really good solution to the problem, write it down and bring whatever tools that you need to bring to the table so that you don't leave any loose ends open. And, you tackle whatever the issue is so that it doesn't come up later. So yeah, write things down. Number 10, say thank you. You guys, I can't stress this enough. You had a disagreement, you had an argument, you had a fight, and you guys finally, patched things up. You had a problem, you came up with a solution. You guys are all working towards a better tomorrow. Say thank you to your spouse, to your partner, to your homegirl, to your mom. Go to that person and say, thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for the changes that you're going to try to make. Thank you for being there for me. Let's say you had an argument and you guys have moved on past it or whatever, and a couple weeks down the line, you're noticing that stuff that you asked your spouse or partner to do, they're now doing. Say thank you. Say, oh my God, you know what? We fought about this for a year, and now I'm starting to see you're changing, and you're doing just the things that I've asked you to do for me. Thank you. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. Those words can go a long way and will help you when the next milestone comes, when the next situation comes. Your partner will be more inclined to really take the time to make the proper and necessary changes, because they know it's not going to go unnoticed. It's not going to fall on deaf ears. You know, it's not just something that you're going to act like you deserve anyway. Because look, at the end of the day, guys, we all want to be respected. We all want to be loved in a way that we really do feel that we deserve. So don't be afraid to say thank you, baby. Thank you, boo. I see you. I see you out here changing. I see you out here doing better for me. I see you out here doing better for yourself. I see you out here doing better for the family, for our kids. I see you. You're growing and you're becoming better, and I'm thankful. Thank you, baby. You guys, these are gems right here, okay? These are gems. These are gems. You want to make your man happy? Say thank you to him. Fellas, you want to make your lady happy? Say thank you to her. And those are my 10 tips to help make communicating better in your relationship. Please leave comments. Let me know, what do you do? What do you do to make communicating with your spouse better, more effective? Please, let's all share. Let's go. Let's do better. And go in love and light.